This is the brand new KTM 1290 Super Adventure R, and it competes with other dual sport adventure bikes like the BMW GS, the Ducati Multistrada, and of course the Honda Africa Twin. It is KTM's most expensive and most technically advanced adventure touring bike. Now, coming up right now, I'm going to tell you what is good, bad, and weird about this bike. And at about $18,000, we're going to answer the all-important question: is it worth the cost of a Honda Civic? Let's start with the good, and of course, the best of the good has got to be right here. It's KTM's venerable LC8 twin cylinder. In this motorcycle, it puts out, I still can't believe this, 160 horsepower in street or sport mode and 101 pound-foot of torque. It's the engine that has one Dakar that smashed the Pikes Peak record back in 2017. And in this bike, it is linear, it is powerful, and it puts a huge smile on my face every time I twist the drive-by-wire throttle that KTM, of course, has built into this to make a 160 horsepower bike manageable both on the road and in the dirt. Did I say drive-by-wire? Too many car reviews. I meant ride-by-wire, or maybe twist-by-wire. But let's get into the technology right away, because that's really what makes this bike such a dual sport monster. You get not one, not two, but 4 drive modes: Sport, 160 horsepower street, 160 horsepower rain, and off-road, where the bike gives you only about 100 horsepower. And I don't think you even need that much when you're going off-road. Basically, with this bike's integrated traction control system, 2 different ABS settings, it makes a bike that dry weighs about 474 pounds and wet 535 pounds into as close of a dirt bike as you can get. Now, I've just reviewed my personal bike, which is a KTM 690 Enduro, and you can click up there to watch that review. It's not quite a dirt bike, but nevertheless, you can take this on single track roads because it's got all the traction control, stability control, ABS built in to make it actually quite tame when you're off-roading. Let's continue with the good, and that of course means all of the tech that's built into this bike. This is a mouthful. Lane angling sensitive traction control, and of course cornering ABS. Now what that means is when you have the bike, let's say, leaning over around a turn and you give it the beans, you don't want that back end to fly out and throw you onto the pavement. Same thing in the wet, same thing when you're braking. So this bike knows if you're over at an angle, if you're going around a turn, and it will give you the proper amount of braking and throttle as needed to keep you on 2 wheels. It also has cruise control and hill hold, which prevents you from rolling back when you're on a steep hill. Of course, the most noticeable difference between the old 1190 Super Adventure and the new one are these headlights. Now, these are LED headlights, and they have a built-in heatsink right here, so the bike funnels cold air behind the lights to cool them off. But that's not all. When you're cornering, these lights also light up on either side so that you can see around the corner. That's pretty snazzy. Just like many modern cars, KTM of course has a key, but you don't need the key anymore. Let me show you. The KTM 1290 Super Adventure has a sensor. Actually, it's right here on the side, and so it knows when you have the key on you. All you have to do is keep it in your pocket, get on the bike, start it up. You don't need to stick a key in a hole anymore. And speaking of more car tech that now of course is made its way into motorcycles, there's a little cubby hole over here for your phone. But best of all, not only can you charge the phone once you put it in the cubby hole, the KTM also has Bluetooth. So if you happen to have a speaker system or headphones in your helmet, you can listen to them using Bluetooth, just like you would in a regular car. So if you love Spotify or Apple Music or anything else that hooks up via Bluetooth, the KTM has it. Alright guys, as always, we love to do a 0 to 60 on dirt. I've got it in off-road mode, first gear. Of course, this is a traditional 6-speed transmission. Got the camera on the digital dashboard, so you guys time it at home. Let me know in the comments below how fast that is. You ready? Did not get any grip. I think I was doing like 30 miles an hour before that back tire actually hooked up. So I suspect on the road it would be much faster. Maybe next time we'll do an on-road review and just find out how fast it is using a Solo DL. The Super Adventure now, of course, comes with a Gorilla Glass 6.5-inch dashboard. So no longer do you have your traditional analog gauge set. These are all electronic. As any proper dashboard should be, you can completely configure it to whatever display that you like. I love the fact that the Gorilla Glass is a special non-glare finish so that even in bright sunlight you can see it. And speaking of another convenience feature, while you're riding you can actually crank up and down the windscreen to give you a little bit more control of just how much air buffets your helmet. Let's talk about some more good numbers. Now I'm pretty tall, 6'2", so I can put both feet flat on the ground, but the seat height here is 35.1 inches, which makes it a pretty tall bike, but nevertheless approachable to many people who aren't quite as tall as I am. It also has 8.7 inches of suspension travel and 9.8 inches of ground clearance, which is pretty much dirt bike. Braking is by Brembo, dual discs in the front, single in the back, multiple settings for ABS. I found when riding it's pretty much transparent, which is good because you don't want ABS showing up, especially on dirt. 21-inch wheel in the front, 18-inch wheel in the back, and of course you've got these very dirt-worthy knobby tires and an upgraded front 21-inch wheel. The KTM says is much less likely to pancake when you're riding hard. Let's talk about the bad. And we got this bike from Josh. Thank you, Josh. As a loaner, he's one of our viewers, to review it. So this is a list of all the items, accessories that he put on the bike. Things like KTM heated grips, KTM heated seat, GV windshield. This is of course the longer windshield that comes on the bike. KTM tank bag, KTM bar risers, KTM skid plate. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you need when you're going to go off-roading that you don't get with the bike. First and foremost are things like, you know, plastic hand guards. This is of course an aftermarket bash plate, but if you got the one from the factory, it would be plastic. So from the factory, this bike is ready to ride on the road, but if you want to take it off-road, you're gonna have to spend quite a bit of money to get it ready to rock. Of course, the biggest bad is, as it sits, this bike is about $21,000 with all the accessories, and it's a weird mix of stuff that comes with it and stuff that doesn't come with it. For instance, this really good-looking orange crash bar or bash bar comes with the bike, but these bigger pegs, which in my mind are almost a necessity if you're actually going to stand up on the bike, don't. So you have to upgrade them. Here's another bad thing. Check it out. Right here, that exhaust pipe gets really hot. And you can feel it if the wind is blowing the right way, right on the side of your leg. Not enough to melt your pant leg, but certainly enough to know that you're next to something very hot. Suspension is completely adjustable for both preload, compression, and dampening. So you can set it up to however you like to ride. If you like it soft, the bike can be soft, or if you like it firm for a little bit more control, you can have that. Let me show you something here. There are two different adjustments, one on the left and one on the right. And the way that you remember that this is rebound is right, red, rebound. How easy is that? The Super Adventure comes with a 6.1 gallon fuel tank that is good for about 235 miles of range. Now, other publications have tested this bike for its fuel economy, and combined city highway it gets about 38, but they've all said that if you get into the LC8 you're going to get a lot lower fuel economy. 235 miles of range is about standard for an adventure bike, but if you're going to take this thing across country, across the world, you're you're definitely going to need more fuel capability than just 6 gallons. And of course, the weird has to be the design. You know, from some angles it looks almost like a transformer. Really cool and mechanical in a kind of a very masculine way. But from other angles, I'm talking about that headlight, it looks like an ant. So on the TFL scale of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say buy it. Is it worth almost $18,000 or $21,000 as it sits? Well, I started this review by asking, is it worth the cost of a Honda Civic? And let me ask you 2 other questions. Has the Honda Civic ever won Dakar or smashed the Pikes Peak hill climb record? Of course the answer is no. And I'm a sucker for off-roading, so yeah, it's definitely worth it. It would be my choice for a motorcycle to take around the world if I could only find the time. As always, this is Roman reporting for the Fast Lane Off-Road. Check out TFLoffroad.com for more news, views, and of course, the car coverage coming up very soon. See you guys next time. Ciao. Sorry I'm a little late, but I had to go to the gas station because I noticed that this has TPMS or tire pressure monitoring, and the front tire was a little low, so I went to that station that, you know, we use to fill up things like the Disco, the big tires, and yeah, look how much I've got in the front tire now. 49.88. I put it out there literally for like, I don't know, 2 seconds and it blew it up to 49 PSI. That's no good, Tommy. We got to take the pressure down. That is way too much.